he ended up there.
Right, okay, so just wish the best for him then.
I guess, let's see if it's plenty.
So Adeline, over the weekend I was reading the Age Weekly and I saw your story. It's very interesting about transforming AmBank Group. You know, your title, the title of your story is The Only Way to Go Is Up. I mean, tell me about that. It's a very interesting title.
Yeah, it's interesting because, that was actually something that Datuk Sulaiman himself mentioned. He was saying how, the day one of his coming into the office, he got in and he found two gentlemen from the central bank.
Right.
And they were there to hand him two letters relating to that fine, which we all know about now, right? 53.7 million fine.
Right.
Yeah. So, morale was really low at the office, and he said, for them, he knew they had hit a low point.
Right.
So later on in the interview, he says, after you've hit a low point, he looks at it optimistically and he says, the only way you can go from there is up.
Right,
So,
okay, which is basically what he wants
so
to
he
try.
thinks they've reached rock bottom, and now they can only do better.
Yeah, very interesting. Earlier you talk about this crazy whirlwind of plan. They have 7 weeks and they finally come up with this top 4 aspiration with 63 initiatives.
Yeah, that's a lot for a bank. He was telling us about the 7-week journey. He got together people from all levels at the bank, from the directors to the management to various levels of staff, and to get good perspective of what people actually think of the bank. He got some external people as well to come in to help. He got everyone to give input, and just based on that, they came up with a vision of what AmBank should be 4 years down the road, and what are the different things they want to do. You can see they've got this top 4 aspiration. They've decided they want to focus on their growth segments, on top 4 focus products. And what's interesting also, I thought, is that they want to be the top 4 best employer in Malaysia, because sometime last year after the penalty came out, it wasn't exactly the bank that everyone wanted to work for. But that could slowly be changing. He says, people have actually changed their views about AmBank, and they're actually getting a few, people. Like, he recently was in London and he got 20 odd people, fresh graduates, to come and join
Join the bank.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And of course the head count is quite high, 11,200 people. Now what's interesting, Adeline, is that the quote that I was reading, he says that sometimes you've got to sacrifice 5 or 10% in order to save 90%. Now what does that mean? Is he hinting at job cuts?
No, he wasn't hinting about job cuts per se, but he was saying quite blatantly actually that if you're not for the transformation plan, if you don't believe the transformation plan, if you're not with him, then he says it's okay, you can leave, because they can't do with such people in the organization.
Very harsh, that is needed, right?
It's harsh, but I think quite realistic of him, and a good move really, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So he says, if you don't believe in our plan, then give us an alternative plan. He had a very good quote in here somewhere. He said, if you don't believe in our plan, he says, give me an alternative plan. And if you don't have any, then you have to believe in our plan. And if you don't believe in our plan, then then you have to shape out what else is there to do.
Right. I mean, of course, people have to believe, because the plan has been, done from all levels of the staff, right? And also, Adeline, just another one, interesting thing about meritocracy. Can you talk about that as well? Not many people are talking about meritocracy, right? Because the last bit I heard was Petronas trying to talk about that.
Yeah, that was in relation to bonuses. He says, right after he talks about, if you don't shape up, then you have to ship out. Then he talks about bonuses, and he says, AmBank they just paid out bonuses, and it was very clearly based on meritocracy. And where in the past, maybe you might have been given a token bonus, really not by doing much. But this time around, he says, if you don't perform, if you don't, exceed expectations, then don't expect to get a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading actually, it's either 0 or bonus itself. No half months, no 1 month, and so on.
No such thing.
Clearly, he's driving the transformation plan
ahead. He seems to be very serious about this.
He does, from the tone that I was reading. And of course, the question is the worst over for AmBank?
Yeah, that's one of the questions we posed to him, right? Having been through, this penalty and all this, really the market having not the best perception of the group, it's the worst over for the group.
Right.
He doesn't actually say no, but fair enough. He says he can't. He doesn't have a crystal ball. He can't say he can't say the worst is over. But he's he's quite comfortable with the bank's improving asset quality, and he's also quite happy with the plans that they've got to take the bank to where he thinks it should be. They're sixth largest today, right?
Yes.
And they want to be fourth largest in
2020.
In 2020. So he says, the plans are in motion,
and of course,
see.
you also talked to some analysts about Datuk Sulaiman. What does the analyst think about him? Is he positive or negative or?
Yeah. So he's 9 months into the job now, and the analysts that I spoke to actually seem to quite like him, the man himself, and the plans that he has in place. But they're also very they're aware, they say this is about building a franchise. You can't do it overnight. You can't see any change 9 months later.
Right.
So they said he's doing the right things,
right.
And so it's just a matter of time. And they're looking to see, if he can deliver the desired results.
For more on the story, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.